Hey guys, it's Abby. I'm back with another video and it has been quite a while. So I have been a little AWOL for quite some time and I don't really have an explanation. It's just I got really busy, life is really crazy. I feel like I say this every single time I make a video, but I've moved again. I move every single year, and because I'm not very consistent with my videos, I'm always having a different background. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I wasn't planning on making videos again just because I felt like maybe I didn't really have anything to say anymore. I'm still reading a ton, clearly. I still have all of my books, but I just kind of felt like I didn't fit into this like booktube mold, which I know I can do whatever I want. They're my videos. I'm doing this for fun. I don't have that many people watching me anyway, so it doesn't matter what I do or what I say. But it just didn't feel right, so I just stopped making videos, and I didn't like the way my videos were turning out because of this camera I had and blah blah blah. But I have a new camera with a viewfinder that flips up, so excuse me if I'm maybe looking at the viewfinder instead of looking at you guys, but I'm basically just here to say that I'm back and I want to make videos again because I miss it and it was so fun, and I still watch videos all the time. And yeah, so anyways, I thought I'd come back and try and do this again. So honestly, I'm gonna say no promises just because I don't know if I'm gonna stick with this or not, but I have had people asking me, where are you? I miss your videos. Make videos again. Please make videos again. And it's really, really awesome to have people who like genuinely want to hear from me when they don't know me in like a personal way, which is super, super cool. So I thought I'd do a little video catching you guys up, telling you what I've been reading, what I'm currently reading, kind of where I've been, which is still in school, still in Kansas City, but I spent a lot of time at home this past summer and I should be graduating pretty soon. So that's kind of where I'm at. Other than that, I don't know if much has changed. I think the hard thing for me is that I think a lot of booktubers are more introverted people, and I am like extremely extroverted. So when I'm not working and when I'm not in school, the immediate thing I do is spend time with people, and this is kind of an activity that I feel like I have to do when nobody else is in my apartment and when I'm completely alone, and I just tend to film all of my time with other people, which is not entirely healthy. I should probably take time for myself, which this I consider to be time for myself as well. So this is also a way to kind of get me to, I don't know, maybe spend some time on my own for once. Anyways, so before I get into talking about my books that I've been reading lately and everything, I did want to talk about like what kind of videos I'll be making, just because I do kind of feel like I don't want to just make book videos. So, I mean, there are tons of other things I'm interested in. Obviously, I'm a human being. Books aren't the only thing that I talk about in my everyday life. I don't think I'd ever be making, I've made before like favorites videos, and I've made a what's in my purse video. What are you doing? He is just tearing up my carpet. Stop it. Ow. Bad cat. Anyways, I also really, really love clothes and fashion and stuff like that, and I don't think I could ever be the kind of YouTuber who only does clothes and fashion videos, so I'm kind of glad that I have my main thing, which is books, but I also would love to make videos that focus on clothes, style, lookbooks, hauls for clothing, and not just books anymore, because after a while I think it gets a little old when I'm just like, here is a haul, here's what I've been reading, yada yada, because I'm really not a big fan of book tags. I don't really like doing those. It just feels forced for me. That's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just gonna do whatever videos I feel like doing, occasionally vlogs, because I have put up vlogs before, and this camera is kind of perfect for vlogging, so I should really get into it. But yes, anyways, that's where I'm at. I'm getting off track. I'm ranting for no reason. Let's talk about books now. I was in like kind of a reading slump, kind of not reading that much, and then it like picked up so quickly, and now I've just been reading my butt off. Look at this little tail. I've been reading my butt off, so that's where I'm kind of at right now, is in this like mood where I just want to read all the freaking time. So first I'll tell you just the last couple of books I've read recently, because I haven't been up here updating, and I feel like my taste has changed a little bit recently, so I'll just be sharing with you some books that I've finished recently that I really enjoyed. So even though I've been reading more than just the couple of books that I'm showing you, these are just ones that I have like thought about wanting to talk about on BookTube that I haven't. The books that kind of got me out of my slump were a couple that I read this past summer, which sounds silly because it is now almost October. So the first book that I finished and really, really liked well, I haven't quite decided if I liked it, if I'm being honest, but it was The Careful Undressing of Love by Corey Ann Hayden, and I had like wanted to pick up this book, and then I saw on Goodreads that it didn't have like very good reviews, and I take Goodreads reviews very seriously, but I decided, you know what, the cover is so pretty, it sounded so interesting, and I wanted to read it anyways. And it's basically about these girls who live on the street in New York City. It's like an alternate New York City, so it's still like modern day, modern time, but these girls live on this street that is cursed. So if you fall in love with a woman who lives on what is this, Devonair Street, if you fall in love with a girl who lives on Devonair Street, then you will die. So there are a lot of these men who have died because they have loved women on the street. So it follows a couple of the teenage girls who live on this street, and basically what their lives are like and what happens when they fall in love and all that kind of stuff. Really interesting and bizarre and weird, which is kind of what I'm into. The plot was weird. It was just really weird. But I loved it because it was so beautifully written. The poeticness of the words was very lyrical, very beautiful. It felt more mature than most young adult books, which I think has been one of my issues lately, is I just have been reading adult books that I feel like the language is just stifling to me, and I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older, but I feel like I still enjoy the stories. It's just the words aren't, they're just not there for me, and maybe it's because I myself am a word person, I'm a writer myself, and so I just read things and I'm like, this could have been written better, or something like that. Anyways, totally off track, that was a separate rant. This book was really interesting. The ending really tripped me up. I didn't like the ending very much. It kind of messed with my head. The ending reminded me a lot of We Were Liars. The whole book kind of reminded me of We Were Liars. Not because the plot was similar, but because it follows a group of teenagers and it's very eerie and strange, and their lives are very different than most people's lives. A little like cultish, I would say. So this really got me out of it just because I really loved reading the physical words. Like the words of this book were really, really interesting. I really enjoyed reading this in general, so that really helped get me out of that, and that was a very long-winded attempt. I need to get back into this booktube world. Next was a book that I really, really, really loved, and that is We Are Okay by Nina LaCour. I love Nina LaCour. I've loved everything that she's written pretty much that I've read. I haven't read everything she's written, but I've loved the books that she has written. I love her work, and I think her writing is really beautiful. This book was very different compared to some of the other books that I've read by her. I have read Everything Leads to You. This was a little bit different. It has LGBT themes in it, which is really nice, and it talks a lot about grief and loss, which are topics that are very near and dear to my heart. So I really enjoyed reading this, and it was at a time where I had lost someone important to me, so I felt like it was really helpful. Instead of making me feel sad and miserable, I think it really kind of opens your eyes to the states of grief. And I thought the writing was absolutely beautiful, kind of like the last one where it just was very nicely written, like music almost, and I liked the characters and I liked the story, and it was an extremely quick read because it is so short, and I really, really liked it. It was sweet and heartfelt and ended in a very uplifting note as opposed to the last book I read. Then after that I was kind of on a nonfiction kick, and I read quite a bit of memoirs and other things like that, which I have never really been into, but I, for some reason, was getting into some really good ones, and so that is what I've been reading lately. And so I picked up a book that follows a family on Instagram that I have been following for quite some time, and I decided I should read their book, The Lucky Few by, oh my gosh, what's her name? Heather Avis. Heather Avis and her husband have adopted 3 children, and I follow them on Instagram because their kids are just the cutest freaking things you'll see in your entire life. And 2 of their children have Down syndrome, and 1 of their children is a person of color, and it's just, I just think they're the cutest children I've ever seen in my entire life. And I've just been watching them. I love her captions on Instagram. I really think you should go follow her. And the kids are just the cutest things. I love the way she parents. I love the way she talks about parenting. I'm really into like family vlogs on YouTube, mom vlogs. Really weird because I'm not a mom, I'm not close to being a mom at all, but that stuff I really love watching. So just hearing the way she parents her children, I really love. So I decided to read her book because I figured if she writes beautiful Instagram captions, she probably writes really good books. And I really loved it. It does have a Christian aspect because it is called Finding God's Best in the Most Unlikely Places. So technically it's a Christian book, but it's not really entirely about that. It is. That's kind of a reoccurring thing she talks about the entire time. But it also talks about the adoption process of obtaining her children when they were babies, about dealing with the struggles of having children who are disabled. And I just love the way that her and her husband have handled all of the things they've dealt with, how they handle situations where people criticize them for choosing to adopt 2 children with Down syndrome and a child who looks very different than them. So I just thought it was a really heartwarming, adorable, beautiful story. It just goes into more depth about kind of how this all happened, how they came to be who they are now, and I really, really love it, and I love them as people. So highly suggest this one if you're into this kind of thing. If you're not, that's totally fine too. Then this next book is one that I am just still kind of reeling over. It was so good. I really loved it. I have been really into murder mystery, serial killer, but type of stuff lately. I've been listening to My Favorite Murder, which is a podcast. Highly recommend that as well. And it's pretty much just these 2 women. They tell you stories about true crime cases, murder, serial killers, all that kind of stuff. Really cool, really entertaining. They're really funny gals, so I love listening to it when I'm in the car. I do a lot of driving, so that's something that I've been super into. So when I was at Barnes & Noble, I was peeking around at some of the murder mystery novel type stuff. Usually I think adult mysteries can be kind of cringy and boring and always involve like infidelity and stuff, but this one sounded really interesting, had a really cool cover, so I picked it up anyways, and that is The Girls in the Garden by Lisa Jewell. Apparently she's written lots of other mystery books that I've never heard of, but I picked this one up and loved it so much. I love the writing, super, super good. Really advanced, kind of what I've been looking for in my books. The mystery in this one was really interesting. I kind of didn't know what was going to happen the entire time. After the ending happened, I could see how somebody else would, probably somebody who's more attentive and smarter than me, could probably tell what was going to happen, but I didn't. And I really loved the characters. I loved the way it was told. I loved following this gaggle of children in this garden in London, and you could just really see the setting and the scenery, which I really, really, really liked. So I really, really suggest this book. It's one that I'm kind of obsessed with right now, and I kind of want to read her other books right now, so. Oh, this video is going to be so long. Then I will just share with you a couple of books that I'm currently reading, just so that you know what I'm up to, I guess. This is going to be kind of a long video, but I'll try and cut it as much as I can. So, kind of like I was saying how I was on my nonfiction memoir essays kick or whatever, I have One Day We'll All Be Dead and None of This Will Matter by Sachi Cole, I think is. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I've never heard her name said out loud before. She is a BuzzFeed writer, has also done the New Yorker, New York Times, the Globe and the Mail, just a popular essayist and writer on the interwebs, and I just really like the title and the cover of this, so I kind of just picked it up based off of that, and I think I heard a couple good things. Really interesting. She talks a lot about Indian culture. She talks a lot about being a woman, being an Indian woman, being a woman of color, living in Canada, all this other stuff. Really interesting. She's funny, witty. I think she's just kind of silly and fun to read about, so I really enjoy this so far. I'm halfway through. I kind of took a break from it for a while, so it's not like the best book I've ever read, but I'm gonna finish it because I think she's interesting enough. I'm not a big BuzzFeed person. I know some people are really into that, so if you like BuzzFeed, you'll probably really like this, I guess, because she writes for them. I've also been into books that have heavy themes of race, gender, all that kind of stuff. I've just kind of been more in the mood of social justice-y things, obviously based on our political climate, and because those things have always been important to me. It's just something I want to read, and I've made a video about how I felt like YA doesn't have as many diverse reads, and I will link that below, but that's something that I've been trying to find within books just because I don't want to just preach these things and then not read diverse books. So here I am, trying to read some diverse books, and one that I'm currently reading and really, really loving is Dreamland Burning by Jennifer Latham. This book is really interesting because it's historical fiction, which is also something I love, but it also is about race and injustice, both now and 100 years ago. So it follows one character who is living 21st century, present time, that kind of thing, and she finds a dead body in her backyard, or like a bunch of bones, like buried underneath her backyard, and then it takes us back in time 100 years, and we get the story of this other boy living during Jim Crow laws in the 20s. So if that doesn't sound awesome, I don't know what does. It's really interesting. The writing's not my absolute favorite, but the story is really interesting to me, and I can tell that it is about to pick up. So I'm really interested to see where it goes. I love the cover. I love the characters. I love the tidbits and notes it has on race, especially coming from the girl who lives in like the 21st century. I haven't really gotten that far and don't have much to say, but I'm reading this right now and absolutely loving it. Hi, baby. What you looking at? One that I'm currently reading and trying to read, like whenever I'm waiting for class to start or at work and it's not busy, that type of thing. I'm reading Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I think I said her first name wrong, but anyways, I've been reading this. It's been on my shelf for a while. It's like so long overdue. This is like everybody's favorite book ever, and so I'm finally getting around to reading it, really liking it. Don't have much to say. I've barely read it. So then getting back into more nonfiction. So clearly my taste has changed quite a bit, but I am also reading Forgive Us Confessions of a Compromised Faith. It's got a couple authors. This is a Christian book, and it basically goes over different sins that the church as a whole or Christianity as a whole has done. So sins against women, sins against the LGBT community, sins against immigrants, sins against indigenous people, and sins against people of color, and sins against Jews and Muslims. It basically starts with a historical overview of how Christians have had an impact on the injustices done towards different groups of people. Then it goes on to a theological, or I'm smart. I'm a university student. I'm in college and about to graduate. A theological reflection on it, so like why those things are wrong from a theological point of view, so based on the teachings of Jesus and the Bible and all that jazz. Then it goes on to like signs of hope, so signs of hope and prayer and a confession in laminate. So basically it's just saying, here's what we've done wrong, here's what we can do to make it better, here's how it might be getting better, and then it has like a really cute little prayer that they write at the end. It's like written kind of like a song. That's just kind of a fun little addition. As a Christian, it's not something that I like to talk about very often, my religion, because it does have a lot of baggage that comes with it, and I think I have a very different view of Christianity than most people. So this book has really helped me kind of see that there are other people who also feel like maybe our faith has done some really horrible things in the past to people just like me, in so many other ways. So I think it's really awesome that these people are acknowledging the bad things that this particular religion has done to people. So I'm really enjoying it. I'm reading it slowly just because there's a lot of really sad stuff in here about things that people have done to other people that it just makes me really sad. That's where I'm at right now. I hope that you guys are glad to have me back, I guess. I think the hardest part is really editing videos, not so much filming them. I can find the time to film them. It's finding the time to edit them that I find challenging. So we'll see when this goes up, but hopefully soon. And hopefully you see other videos from me. And please, if you have any requests from anything you want to hear from me, or that you've heard from me in the past that you want to see again, go ahead. A couple people have requested poetry videos. I've kind of done a bunch of those, and I'm not really sure what you want from me more than what I already have. So if you have any requests for that as well, if you're one of those people who wanted more poetry videos, let me know. I'm really happy to be back. I'm glad to be doing this again. It feels really good. I love books, and I love talking to other people about books, so it's really great to be here again. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll have all my social media down below. You can go check that out. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.